Dear students, in this session we are going to cover a concept as part of the advanced Python programming concept. That concept name is GUI programming using Tkinter. So, in this we are going to cover what is CUI, what is GUI and what is the Tkinter, how to create different type of the widgets and what are the different layouts available in the Python we are going to cover here. Let us start our discussion. Before starting the GUI concept, you must know what is CUI, what is the difference between CUI and GUI. Coming to the CUI, CUI means character user interface. If you want to interact with any operating system or any application, you need to write some character. Let me give a best example for that, MS-DOS. Suppose if you want to change the directory, you need to write or you need to type CD, change the directory, one command. Whatever the task you want to do, for that you need to type one command, that is called CUI, character user interface. For every task we need to write one command. So, that person who wants to work with that person have the technical skills, otherwise the person cannot interact with this CUI. That is the drawback of this CUI. To overcome this problem, we have GUI, graphical user interface. Then what is the advantage of this when compared with the CUI? GUI stands for graphical user interface. As the name suggests, here we are using graphical components like menus, buttons, radio buttons and so on. With help of that, we can provide a good interface to the user. Here no need to write any command and they can use directly using the menus, whatever the menus they have, buttons they have, with help of that they can perform the operations. That is the advantage of the GUI. Let me give a simple example of the GUI is Windows operating system. So, probably everyone knows how to work with the Windows operating system. Suppose if you want to select any command, if you want to create new folder, right click and select the new folder. Here we are not writing any command, just we are selecting the available options, available commands. So, this is the best example of GUI. Now, our concept is how to develop this type of the GUI interface. Okay. Then for that we are going to use one library, that library name is Tkinter, that available in the Python programming language. Tkinter represent toolkit interface. Tkinter is a library name that represent toolkit interface, that is used to develop the interface. And the next important point is this is built in the GUI library. The meaning of that is you no need to install it separately. Suppose if you have any other libraries like pandas, matplotlib, you need to install it separately by using the pip command. But coming to the Tkinter, it is already built in with the Python programming language. That is why no extra installation is needed. And the next advantage of the Tkinter is it is platform independent. The meaning of this point is you can execute on any platforms. Suppose you develop the program in Windows operating system and the same program can be executed in any other operating system like Linux and Mac OS. That is the important point here. The Tkinter is platform independent. Then why to use Tkinter? Because it is easy to learn and this is very lightweight library. What is the meaning of lightweight in this context is it takes less amount of the memory and it takes less time to execute. It uses a very minimal resources to execute. That is the meaning of lightweight in this context. And as a beginner, this is suggestible to use Tkinter because easily implement, easily you can understand that. Then if you want to work with Tkinter, we need to follow some steps. So, let me tell you the steps first and later on we will implement these steps one by one. First we need to import that library, that is import Tkinter. We need to import the Tkinter library. Next step is we need to create the main window. What is main window and how to create that we will cover in the coming slides. After creating the window, we need to add the widgets. Widgets are nothing but components that displays on the screen like push buttons, radio buttons, those are called widgets. and after that we need to run the event loop, means that has to activate the windows at any point of time, because we may click on the button, we may select any items from the drop down list. That is why the window should be in the active state. For that we need to write run event loop. So, let us discuss these steps one by one. As I covered just now, the first step is import Tkinter. Then how to write the code to implement this. Observe here, I am writing the code to import the Tkinter. This is comment line. If you want to write any comment line, the comment line should be start with hash symbol. The comment line should not be executed by the interpreter. That is for the user purpose, to understanding the nature of the particular statement. Now, the code is, if you want to import any library, this is the general syntax. Import is a keyword, space, library name. Here we are working with the library Tkinter na, import space Tkinter as Tk. Here Tk is a alias name or simply another name, simple name, short name. Without using the full name Tkinter in all the places in your application or in your code, you can use simply Tk. So, that is the meaning of as Tk. In simple terms, that is the alias name. Then in the second step, as we covered just now, we need to create the root window. Before that, we must know what is root window actually. Root window is a highest level of the GUI component in any Tkinter application. In simple terms, in any Tkinter application, first we need to create a root window. After that, we can create the widgets. We can reach this root window by creating the object for the Tk class. This is very important point. If you want to create the root window, how to write the code? We need to create the object for the Tk class. In this Tk, T is capital letter. Every class, the class name should be start with the capital letter. So, Tk in the T is capital letter. By creating the object for the Tk class, we can create the root window. And the root window will have the title bar, nothing but we can give any name. By default, it has some name, and it contains minimize button, resize button and close button. This is the properties of root window. Now, coming to the coding part, how to create that root window. This is the step 1, just now we covered na importing. Import Tkinter as Tk, we covered already. And see this root assignment. This root is a object name. Okay, I am giving one object name, reference name. You can give any name. This is identifier concept. You can give any name. So, in my example, root is the object name. Root assignment Tk. Observe here, Tk, 2 are in lowercase letter, Tk, 2 are lowercase letter, that is the alias name for the Tkinter, just now we mentioned. So, library name Tk dot Tk, here T is capital letter, that is a class name. General syntax to create the object for any class is object name assignment class name. So, here we are creating the object for the class Tk, where the Tk is available in the Tkinter library. That is why we are using Tkinter name, but here we are using alias name na. So, instead of Tkinter, you can write Tk simply. So, Tk dot Tk. By executing this, a root window will be created internally. Now, next step is root dot main loop. The window should be in the active state, because from starting to stopping point many events might be occurred. What is event will be covered later on, but let me tell you in simple terms. Suppose if any user clicks on the button, that is one event. If we press any key on the keyboard, that is an event, one action. Okay. And that particular created window should be in the active state to listen all the events. That is why we need to write a code root dot main loop. So, it is used to keep the window in the active state. And after writing this program, save this program with any name, .py is compulsory. If you run this, observe here, you will get this type of the output. Okay, this is the output. A root window is created. And observe one more point here, the default title for this is Tk, because manually we are not giving any name here. The Tk is the by default name. So, as I covered the important points, Tk is used to opening a blank notebook. you can analyze like this analogy to understand. Main loop is keeping it open until closed. Until you close the application, that should be in the activate state. Then what is main loop? Already I covered. Keep the window alive and wait and watch for any events that may take place in the root window. That is why that should be in the alive state. If you are not writing the main loop statement in the coding part, window closes immediately, that will be created and closed immediately. But that should not be happen, that should be alive. For that we need to write this code main loop. So, if you want to understand in simple terms, so let me give a simple example. So, if you have the any shop, that should be in the open mode, the customer may come any point of time, you do not know. In the same way, window should be in the alive state, because any event may occur any point of time. For that we need to write main loop statement. Next, as I said already, the by default name for the created window is Tk, but manually if you want to give any name also, that is possible. Depending on your requirement, you can set any requirement required title for your window. For that, how to write the code? See here, already we covered, no need to repeat again, right? Importing and creating the window. Then this is important part which is highlighted in the blue in color. Root dot, root is the object name for the Tk class, dot title. Title is a method. With help of that method we can set the title. By the name also you can understand, title is a method name that is used to set a required title for the created root window. After that, main loop is compulsory. Let me repeat the important points: import, create root window, title, main loop. Main loop and creating import is compulsory for every GUI programming. If you run this program, you will get the output. See this is the output of this code, and here the important point, because I set the name GUI na, whatever the name you want to set you can write here, but in this example I am writing GUI. Next important property is I want to set the window size also. Okay. For that we have one more method, the method name is geometry. Okay, and it has some values. Observe here, 400 into 300. The meaning of this 400 and 300 is in terms of the pixels, 400 pixels width and 300 pixels height. So, with help of this geometry method we can set the size also. After setting the size, try to execute the same code once again, then you will get this type of the output. With help of this, as per your requirement, you can change the size of that window. Next important point in the GUI programming is containers. Generally we use these containers to store the widgets. Okay. Create the container, and within that container we can create the other widgets like buttons, text box and labels, so on. In Python programming, mainly we have two types of the containers. Those are canvas and frame. And coming to the canvas, the main important properties of the canvas is this is used to draw the shapes like lines, circle, squares. If you want to draw this type of the shapes, you can use the container canvas. And coming to the second container, the container name is frame, and this container is generally used to display the widgets like buttons. Suppose if you want to click on submit button, if you want to log into the email, generally we observe a submit button or login button. To create such type of the buttons and check buttons or menus, radio buttons, so you can place those type of the widgets in the container. That container name is frame. Okay, these are the two important containers. Now, next important point is how to create widgets. What is widgets? What are the different type of the widgets available in the Python? Let us move one by one. Let me give a simple definition first. What is widget? How can we understand the word widget? Widget is a GUI component that is displayed on the screen and can perform a task. Very simple. This is a graphical representation, just like a menu or button. Those are the GUI components. Technically those are called widgets. Suppose if you have the mobile, if you want to send the message in WhatsApp, you may have some send button, that is one widget. And if you want to type a message, we use some text box. In that box you need to type the text. So that is also one widget. So some examples of the widgets are label, button, text, checkbox, radio button. These are some examples of the widgets. Now let me tell you how to create these widgets. Let us start with one widget, label. Label is one widget supported by the Python. And what is the use of the label is, it is used to display the text, a simple text, and in the non-editable mode, it is read-only text. Generally, these labels are used in the website to display some messages. To display some message in the apps, we use labels. You can understand it just like a notice board. Okay, if we, as a teacher, if you want to give any information to the student, we may paste some message in the notice board now. Like that in the image, in the websites or in any apps, if you want to give any message to the users, we use labels. Label is a class, everything is a class. So here we are working with the label widget. If you want to create label widget, we need to create the object for the label class. Then the code we need to follow for that is object name. In this example, I am using the name label. You can use any object name here. Object name assignment. This is creating the label. That label is available in the Tkinter, right? So tk dot label, and observe within the parenthesis root. Why we are writing root here? The meaning is we are creating the label as a child of the root. Already we created root window in the previous slide. So here label is created as a child for the root window. So that is the meaning of the property root here. Now next attribute, the label has text. The meaning of the text attribute is, what is the text you want to display as in a label? You need to write that. For example, after developing a program, whenever user executing that code, I want to display the message like welcome to Tkinter. For that I want to create the label. So here my requirement is, I want to display this text as a label, welcome to Tkinter. So what is the message you want to display? You need to write that as a value of the text attribute. In this case, text should be called as an attribute. Then next, label dot pack. So this is created, a label is created, and we created that label as a child of the root. And what is the text you want to display? We set it that. But why we are writing pack? If you write a pack method only, then only the created label displayed on the screen. If you are not writing the pack, internally the label is created but will not be displayed on the screen. So for that we need to write label dot pack, attach that label to the created window and will be displayed on the screen. And main loop as usual already we covered. If you execute this code, you will get the output like this. Okay. Observe the output. I set the title GUI and the label we set as per our code is welcome to Tkinter. Generally you observe this type of the labels when you registered in any website. After registration you may get the message na welcome to and your name. For that generally developers uses labels concept. Next widget is button. Generally this is also called push buttons. These are used to perform the actions. Submit button, login button, we may observe that in the real life. Those are called buttons. And response to the click events. These buttons are used to implement the events. When a user click on a particular button, some action will be take place. Example, as I said, submit and login button. If you observe this, you can understand that. Here we have two buttons, hello button and OK button. All these are the buttons. Now that is a theoretical part. Now come to the implementation part. How to create this button? What is the code we need to write for that? Importing the library as usual. Now this is important part which is highlighted in the blue color, that is important for this particular concept. Define, def is a keyword in the Python. The meaning is define. We are going to define a function, that is the meaning of that. And function name is say underscore hello, that is my function name. As per your requirement you can use any name. In this example, my function name is say underscore hello, and every function must have the parenthesis and that must ends with the colon. The colon indicates that creates one block, and after the colon, observe here very carefully, we need to give the space, otherwise it behaves in the different way. Okay, space is compulsory. Technically we use the word indentation in each and every block. What is the statement or what are the statements you want to write, as part of that block you must give the indentation. So, as per this code, the print statement is within the say hello function, that is why we are giving the indentation here. Then what is the statement we are writing in this function? Print hello student. Just I want to print a simple text hello student when this function is being called. That is about function definition. Now, coming to the remaining parts again, creating the root window as usual, and no need to repeat again. Now, this is important again because we are dealing with the buttons concept at this moment. How to create a button? btn, it is the object name, assignment tk.button, where button is a class name, and observe here b should be capital. If you write lowercase letter, the program will not be executed. Okay, button is a class name, first character should be capital, tk.button. We are creating this as a child for the root window, and text you want to display on the button, say hello. A button should be created, point 1. Second point is, on that button the text I want to display is say hello. What is the text you want to display? You can write that text here. Suppose if you want to create submit button, you can write submit here. Otherwise, if you want to create the login button, you can write login as a value of the text attribute, right? Now, comma, one more attribute, the attribute name is command. Then what is the purpose of this command? This command attribute is used to give the reference to the function, or in simple terms, it is used to execute the given function. You must write the function name here. As per our code, the function name is say hello. So, we are writing say hello. So, whenever the user clicks on the button and the function will be activated, the function will be executed, whatever the statement we have in this function, that will be displayed on the screen. Here that is hello student. In such a way you must understand the flow. Then button data pack, as usual, the button is created with help of this statement, and with help of this code the created button is displayed, attached to the root window and displayed on the screen, and main loop as usual. If you execute that previous code, you will get this type of the output. Observe here, this is the output when you execute the previous code. After that, just click on this button. We created one button. Observe here, a button is created and the text displayed on the button is say hello, because we have given the value for the text is say hello na. That is why say hello text is displayed in the created button. Just click on that button. When you click on that button, you will get the output hello student. When you click on the button, you will get the output hello student, because we have written hello student in the function. When you click on that, a function is activated, and within that function the statement or statements are executed. What is the statement we have? Print hello student. That is why we are getting hello student as an output. So, this is how to create a button and how to handle the event. When you click on the button, we need to execute one particular function. Next, third widget is entry widget. A very simple example, everyone knows it, everyone have the experience. Suppose if you want to log in into your Gmail account, you may find this type of the interface na, like enter email ID, enter password. After enter email ID, you may have some box, right? So, technically that box is called text box, and in the Python the name we are using for that widget is entry widget. This box general name, technical name as per the Python programming language, entry widget. By the name you can understand that entry widget that receives the entries, that receives some input values. The unique property of this entry widget is it is used to receive single line input. If you want to enter multiple lines, this widget is not suitable for that. it is used to receive only single line input. And as I said, very good example is email login user interface. Enter username or enter email ID. You may enter email ID in the box. That box is entry widget. Now, then how to create this type of the entry widget in your project or application? See the code for that. Importing the Tkinter common, and observe here, this is the function. Define my function name is show underscore text in this example. The function name is show underscore text, and within that function, as you observe, we need to give indentation, print output statement in the Python, entry dot get. This get method is used to receive the values which will be entered by the user. Okay. For that we are using get method. Then creating the root window, that is common again, and after creating the root window, I am creating the entry widget. This is important point in this example. Entry is my object name, assignment tk dot entry, entry text box will be created as a child of the root window, and after that we need to attach that created entry box to the rooted window. For that we need to write again entry dot pack as usual, how we have written in the previous code. Then in the same example, I want to create one more button also. Okay. btn assignment, btn is the object name, and already we covered how to create a button. Same code I am writing here, tk dot button root, and in this example the display text is submit. I want to display the text on the button, the text is submit. Now command equals to show underscore text. So whenever the user click on that submit button, that clicks activates the function show underscore text. Then the function will be activated, it starts the execution. The same name button dot pack, a pack is created and attached to the window and display on the window. Main loop to keep the window activated, remaining all are as usual. Now when you execute this code, at the first stage you will get this type of the window. Observe here, you will get this result when you execute this code, and this is entry widget. Observe here na box, text box, entry widget. You need to enter some value here. For example, I entered my name, you can enter your name. I entered my name, suppose Shravan Kumar I entered. After that I clicked on the submit button. After entering the value, click on the submit button. Then you will get the output, what you entered you will get that as an output. Okay. If you enter your name and click on the submit button, you will get that name as an output. So this is how to create entry widget, and with help of this submit button we are calling the function. Within the function we are trying to getting the text what will be entered by the user. Okay. Next widget is text widget, and the drawback of the entry widget is that is used to receive only single line text. Then how can we receive multi-line text? For that we have another widget, the widget name is text widget. Generally in the websites or applications, any apps, you may observe some feedback box, feedback box, or if you want to write any comments about the applications, you may find some sort of the box. To create such type of the boxes, we use text widget. Okay. Text widget, it is a multi-line text area that allows the users to display, enter and edit the text. Let me repeat, these are the properties of the text. Observe here, display, that is used to display the text, as well as that is used to receive the text also, and if you have any text within that you can edit also. These are the features of the text widget, and this is more powerful than the entry widget, because entry widget is used to receive only single line. And if you want to implement any text formats, like if you change the font style, or if you want to apply any colors for the text, or if you want to change the styles like italic, bold, everything you can do with help of the text widgets. If you want to display the images also, with the help of the text widget we can implement that. And suppose if you want to enter a large text, then a scroll bars also created within the text widgets. These are the features of the text widgets. Observe this image. This is an example of the text widget. Observe here, you can like this, you can enter the data. Okay, A, B, C, D, like not only single character, as per your requirement you can enter any text. Done. As I covered, this is used for the multi-line text, and this is the bigger than the entry widget. And a simple analogy or simple example is just like an answer sheet. The student might be read n number of the lines. That is one example. With the help of that you can understand this text widget. So this is about widgets. So let me summarize what we covered in this session. So we started with what is CUI, what is GUI. CUI is a typical, we need to have the technical knowledge, but without technical knowledge also we can work with GUI. Best example is Windows. So we can create GUI with the help of the Python programming language. In that we have the Tkinter. In that, with the help of the Tkinter, we can create the different type of the widgets as we covered: buttons, labels, entry widget and text widget. And I strongly recommend it to the viewers. Not only these widgets, we have so many different type of the widgets. You can try with that. Whatever the code I have shown to you, you can follow the same code. Instead of the widget name, you can use any another widget name also. That works, and you can try to execute the code with the help of the another widgets also. Thank you.